Hello, I'm Ashley, the engineer at Andover Norton, and one of the things we actually get asked about on a regular basis, and also we sell a lot of these, not to Norton owners, but other people as well. No surprise, because these are items that are getting harder to source. Not many companies stock some of this product any longer, which means that if you've got an old classic car, or aircraft, or watercraft, or whatever it is, you're most probably going to need some spanners to be able to repair it. Now, the ones in question is not the metric ones, it's actually the AF and the Whitworth sizes. Now, we stock a fair old range of spanners, from combination through to ring. We also stock the sockets as sets, and we also stock this 1/4 Whitworth socket here. Now, if you've got a Norton Commando, this thin wall socket is an absolute beauty to have in your arsenal at home. This is the socket that gets the center bolt of the actual cylinder head on a short 3/8 extension. Good bit of kit to have, well worth the investment. It also does other things on the bike as well, but that's the main purpose you most probably want to use it for when you come to remove the cylinder head. Now, we also have this spanner here, which is a 1/4 Whitworth spanner that is actually a bit bent. We send it away, get it bent, strip it, and then re-chrome it. The reason we do that is because that's very, very useful for getting into the nut at the back of the cylinder barrel that holds the cylinder head on. You can actually get in there and remove that nut quite easily. Another good addition. When we first started doing it, I was like, I've managed 20 odd years without one, why do I want one? But strangely, if I need a 1/4 Whit spanner, that's the one I go to now. It's actually gets used more than just that job. It's handy just to grab. The other thing as well, if you're doing work on your Norton, is it's a feeler gauge. This is imperial and metric. Some come just imperial, some come just in metric. Because of Norton, a lot of the figures are given imperial. If you do buy a metric one, you're going to need to convert. Now, realistically, I grew up in an era where I was taught both systems, imperial and metric. I don't convert one to the other. I work in whichever one that I need to work in. It's the same as part of my career. I worked on submarines that were PSI and gallons, and then we went over to bar and litres. To me, it's just different. I don't convert to one to the other. I don't mentally do it in my head. There is no point. Now, feeler gauge, always handy to have. If you're going to get one, personally, I'd go for an imperial one. Now, we also have other combination sets here. We'll get the details of these later and the part numbers. And if you've got any questions on them, feel free to get in touch and ask us. Now, I've kept this side of the table a little bit different because these are some of the tools. It's not an exhaustive list of tools that you're going to need for your Norton. There are some here that I didn't grab off the shelf, but some of these here are the ones that I find very useful to have, especially if you're working on your own bike. Now, this tool here is just a punch. It's not just any punch, it's the punch that puts the roll pin in the seat knobs either side of your seat. Now, if everyone had one of these and used it to fit their seat knobs correctly, guess what? We wouldn't sell so many seat knobs. We could be doing ourselves out of business. Always handy to have, a little small punch. The actual crankshaft pinion puller, useful tool. These are slightly modified to get in there and pull it off. Why Norton went for a washer with 3 of the sides cut off, I don't know. I cannot see any reason why they just didn't go with just a smaller washer. Mind you, who knows what they were thinking back then. It would just make sense to go for a smaller washer that you could put that in behind. If you use this, make sure that all the jaws are engaged properly and you're on nice and square before you start putting tension into the tool to get the pinion off. Now, the other one is a slide hammer. I prefer to use this for removing the actual rocker spindles in the cylinder head. The reason I prefer to use this tool rather than the Norton tool is the fact that when the head's warm, I can work quicker with this than I can that tool in using that. This is pretty good, and just get it in, whack, and out they come. They come out just a little dink and they're out. You can get them out pretty quick while the head's still hot and the heat has not migrated into the spindles themselves. which is what you're trying to avoid. The other useful tool we got here is the intermediate spindle support plate. The one that comes through from is on the timing side that you see. This supports the actual spindle of the intermediate gear. Useful tool. Some people try it without and then they find the spindle ends up loose in the crankcase. There's really not much you can do after that other than try and get it filled and re-reamed and put back into place correctly. Bit of a task, but use this tool. It's ideal. It enables you to get your camshaft nut undone without bending the spindle of the intermediate gear. Useful one to have. Now another tool that is really useful is this one here. This is the camshaft seal guide tool that screws into the end of the camshaft when you put the timing cover up. Now, in 30 years, I've never known anyone not to get that timing cover on without using one of these. There have been many that have tried, and many have rung up and bought this tool, but I'm sure there's someone out there going to tell me they've managed to do it. But useful tool to have, quick and simple to have in your toolkit. Another tool, and there's variations of these, and this is the tool that does your lock ring for your clutch adjusting mechanism in the right hand side of the gearbox. This will actually screw in and undo the lock ring on the inner cover, so you can get the actual mechanism out and the ball bearing, etc., and access to the nut behind it holding the main shaft. This is just our variation. I have seen others out there, but it's a tool worth buying rather than trying to get something in there to knock it round and knock it up tight. It's not worthwhile. Just get the tool. Now, I work on my own at home, and one of the best things I've ever invested in is a clutch locking tool. This, I can put it in, lock it across to the actual rear isolastic stud, and once that's locked up, I can get all the other fittings slackened or tightened with this in place. Brilliant bit of kit. If you're working on your own in the garage, it saves having to play twister with the bike, leaning over the bike with a spanner one hand or your foot on the other, trying to get everything locked off via the brake and the rear wheel and the gearbox to get a nut slackened. Brings us on to this last tool, the clutch compressor tool. I've seen various things of these. I've seen them made out of steel, I've seen them made out of drain pipe, I've seen them made out of bits of wood. You'll be surprised what people use to get their diaphragm spring out of the clutch. Now, there are people out there that have actually got the diaphragm spring out without using one of these, and we hear of it often. 2 or 3 times a year people say, well, I got it out, I just flicked out the circlip. Best of luck. Yeah, I hope they were wearing protection when they were doing it. Now, the problem being is they've then got to get it back in. Now, they come to us, we'll buy a tool and get a tool from somewhere else. Worth having. It makes the job a lot easier and a lot safer, and it can save your fingers from getting a little small cut or nick or whatever. When you use this tool, you don't need to go mad. You just need to tension the diaphragm just enough so that it spins together with this. Take out your circlip, and that's good enough. You can leave it in there if you're just going to be working for a day or so. You can then leave it on this, ready to go back in, and then reverse the process and take this off. Always make sure that circlip is engaged in its groove. Double check every time. It's worth doing. Even now, when I put it in, I go around and check to make sure I've got it in properly. Now, realistically, if you're going to be dismantling it and leaving it for some period of time, take the diaphragm spring off it and let the spring relax to its natural position. Now, all these lovely tools here, we've got many others. Please go to our website and have a look. Now, the one thing I've learned over the years, not only with Nortons, but it's a lot easier and a lot quicker if you've got the correct tool or the correct spanner. It generally saves damage to the equipment, and it'll save you time as well. So it's worth investing in the correct tools. It just makes more sense. Now, the other problem being is the fact that we see people that have not used the correct tool and they end up damaging it. So it does cause more expense than what they could have actually spent on a tool in the first place. Something to bear in mind. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks very much for watching. That's the end. Any questions, like I say, get in touch with myself or Simon. Thank you very much.